Am I the asshole for exposing my sister's fake cancer to our parents after she refused to come clean herself? I, 34 female, just found out that my sister, 31 female, who has been telling my whole family she has cancer for the last 8 months, has been lying. She shaved her head, said she was doing chemo, and had our parents move in to help her through treatment. I started to have doubt when, besides also staying out late relatively frequently, she would never let anyone attend appointments with her, and she clearly had way too much energy for someone going through aggressive chemotherapy. Last week, I ran into the office manager of my sister's oncologist at a coffee shop, small town. I casually mentioned my sister, and the office manager was confused. She had no idea who I was talking about. I did some digging through doctors and spoke to my sister about what I learned, and she broke down and spilled her guts. It turns out she fabricated the whole story because she was in over her head with debt and wasn't able to afford her apartment anymore. The cancer story got our parents to move in, and she could then stop paying her bills. I was furious and told her that she had 24 hours to tell our parents the truth or I would. She asked me not to tell them because it would ruin her relationship with them. She did not tell them, so yesterday I took everything to our parents. Our parents are heartbroken. My sister is acting like I had no right to out her, and she didn't even say this to our parents. She was going to stage a miraculous recovery next month. She said I ruined her life, and that family should be trying to defend each other rather than expose each other.
Am I the asshole for telling my daughter that her mom cheated on me when my daughter said mine girlfriend looks like an OnlyFans chick? I 49 male got divorced from my wife Emily 49 female because she cheated on me with multiple men. We have a son and a daughter. Our son Nick 22 male has always been closer to his mom, and our daughter Skylar 19 female has always been closer to me. Not knowing why we got divorced, the kids took their mom's side. I recently started dating Lisa 54 female. She has a fun personality, she's smoking hot, and she dresses very fun. When I introduced Lisa to my kids, Nick took a liking to her while Skylar looked annoyed. Days later, Skylar said that Lisa looks like an OnlyFans chick. If you knew Skylar, you would be shocked that she would use that as a way to insult another woman. I told her that her mom Emily was the one who cheated on me, and that I met Lisa after the divorce. Skylar got just said oh, and she got quiet. But the next day, my ex-wife Emily confronted me. I reminded her that I never promised to keep her cheating a secret. She said that I implied that it would be a secret based on the fact that I never said whether or not I would tell our kids.
Am I the asshole for not helping my dad's pregnant girlfriend and telling her to fuck off when she asked? My mom died 14 months ago, and shit's been tough since. I 16 female, always had a great relationship with my dad before, but lately it's been pretty awful. 4 months ago, my dad brought this woman home, told me she was his girlfriend and that she was pregnant and moving in with us. This was 9 months after my mom died. I didn't really know what to say at first. He was scrambling to say stuff, but I don't really remember what he said. But when I did speak, I was bitter, and I told him I guess he found a great way to tell me he never loved my mom and was over her. I said that because he had always talked about people moving on within, like 2 years of their husband or wife dying, as never really loving them and got over them super fast. He'd say that loving someone and being ready to move on would take a much longer time. He said he saw it in family and family friends who'd been through the loss. He said the people who moved on super fast were disrespectful, especially when they had kids who had lost a parent and needed to be supported and their parents' memory preserved. So I took it really hard when Dad was admitting he'd knocked someone up 7 months after my mom died. They'd started screwing each other 5 months after Mom died, which is something I hate thinking about, but he admitted it. His girlfriend got extremely pissed off when I was saying that stuff to Dad about him not loving Mom. She took offense that I was focusing on that instead of on the news of a baby and greeting her. I ignored her and kept telling my dad what I thought, and she lost it and said I should be excited about the baby. She said Mom was dead and Dad had a right to a life after her. She said the baby didn't deserve this shit. She moved in that day, and Dad spent days trying to make me okay and to apologize for it all happening so fast. His girlfriend didn't want me there and said I needed to leave if I wouldn't welcome her and celebrate the baby. Dad said no, but I told him I wanted to go. He tried to fight it, but I asked him if he ever wanted a relationship with me, because if he did, it would not happen if I was forced to live with her. I moved in with my grandparents. Dad comes to see me multiple times a week. He's talked me into going to the house for dinner a couple of times, but me and his girlfriend do not like each other. She's extra bitter that Dad's so focused on making our relationship work instead of on her and the baby. The last time I saw her was a month ago, and she told me I was disgusting for not getting over myself and warming up to the baby who's coming whether I like it or not. She was also pissed that I wouldn't pick something up for her when she dropped it. Last Tuesday, I got a text from her. Don't have her number, but she said who she was, telling me she needed me to go over there now, because she left her key in the house and got locked outside, and she was in pain and having some bleeding and was supposed to rest. I still have a key to the house, and Dad was still at work. I replied, fuck off, and I didn't go to help her. I blocked her, number 2. After that, she used Dad's phone to leave a voicemail yelling at me and calling me names for leaving her outside when she's 7 months pregnant. I ignored it, and Dad told me she just waited in the car until he got home. But she texted me in the middle of the night from Dad's phone calling me. My dad knows about it, and he apologized. He's still trying to make this all okay with me, but he also hopes we can all get along and be a family.
Am I the asshole for not being more active, present in my wife's journey to lose weight? Some backstory. First, my wife had back-to-back pregnancies over the past 2 years, with the second pregnancy being a twin. If you have kids, then you know how being pregnant destroys a woman's body, and it can take years to recover. Ever since giving birth to our twins, my wife has been very insecure about her body. Simply put, she doesn't like how she looks. I know this and can honestly say I've never been critical about how she looks, even before the pregnancy, not once. I have no problem with her looks, not one bit. She'll always be pretty in my eyes. In the beginning of this year, she started getting back to working out, and just a couple weeks ago decided to join an online nutrition program that helps her eat better. I was 100% on board with everything because I know this is very important to her. I want her to succeed and start loving herself more. However, she thinks I'm not active or present enough in her weight loss journey. I'm just on the sidelines cheering and she feels like she's in it alone. She said I've not shown any active interest in her progress and only listens when she shared her learnings, never directly ask her about anything relating to working out or eating healthy. She said she expected me to show support by also start eating the same food as her and also start paying more attention to my body. I'm not fat nor skinny, just an average build with average BMI. Honestly, I was kinda pissed when I heard this and told her I've been nothing but supportive. I just don't want to eat healthy by her standards because it's kinda boring and I'd like to have some not so healthy meals from time to time. Then there were a lot of back and forth of me not understanding her point, my attitude is bad, etc. I decided to keep quiet and just left the room to do other chores and calm down a bit. When I came back from taking the trash out, I saw her crying. I felt bad and went over to hug her and told her I'll start eating healthier with her, but please don't take away my favorite food, which I usually have once or twice a week for breakfast. It's around 650 kilocalories. I thought my response was appropriate. I took a step in the direction that she wanted and just have one minor request. This was also said in a non-confrontational, couple-wide, apologetic, all I want is peace type voice. I was trying to be cute with that please don't take away line. Then she hit me with don't you think I would also want to have that? What makes you think I won't want the same thing? But I can't if it's such a sacrifice for you, I'd rather you not, etc. And now I'm pissed. I told her I thought this is a step in the right direction. Why can't she just appreciate this decision and we can all be in this together? Her response was why are you getting so worked up over this food? I honestly couldn't see what I did wrong, especially our last conversation. The decision I made felt right, but she told me my attitude was wrong.
Am I the asshole for not telling my sister the name chosen for my unborn son? Because she used her BBF's baby name for her daughter. My sister and I are both pregnant. This is her second child and my first. We're both having boys. When my sister had her daughter 3 years ago, her BFF was pregnant at the same time. My sister complained for 8 months that they didn't have any idea what to name my niece. And then all of a sudden she had a name right before she gave birth. After my niece was born and her name was announced, my sister and her BFF started fighting. The BFF said that was the name she'd chosen for her baby girl, and my sister used the same first and middle name for my niece, and she couldn't believe she'd do that. My sister said it's first come first serve, and she needed a name badly. That her BFF had time to find another name. My sister is due before me, a few weeks before. And with that in mind, I don't want her to do the same thing to me. And she has asked. Nobody knows we're having a boy except me and my husband. And we plan to keep it that way. But my sister has asked what our boy name is, and as an afterthought, she asked for our girl name too when she realized. I knew what she was getting at. I refused to tell her. She tried to whine about name sharing being the fun part of pregnancy. I made up a couple of names on the spot to tell her, and she saw through it. She told me to just tell her the name, and I said no again. She asked a few more times. She even asked in front of our family. It was our brother who joked that nobody should tell the baby name thief the name they've chosen. My sister got upset and asked if that's why I wouldn't tell her. She told me I was holding something against her that she never did to me. Mom asked why I couldn't just share the name and everyone would know my husband, and I chose it first if my sister used it, but I still said no.
Am I the asshole for asking my partner stop telling me to lower your volume? Sometimes, when I get excited about a topic, I naturally start speaking louder than usual. Not shouting, just louder than normal conversation level. The thing is, I don't realize I'm doing it in the moment. When this happens, my partner will often interrupt me mid-sentence to ask me to lower my volume. I don't think they mean it in a rude way, and I understand that they probably just want the conversation to stay at a comfortable volume. That's fair. But every time it happens, I feel demoralized and a little self-conscious. I lose my enthusiasm and no longer feel like talking about the thing I was excited about. Even if they don't mean it harshly, it still feels dismissive and discouraging. I've tried to explain how it makes me feel, but they still keep interrupting me.
Am I the asshole for wanting my BF to do more around the house even though he doesn't live with me? My boyfriend, 30 male, and I, 25 female, have been together 8 months. I've got my own place with a mortgage, so from the start it was easier for us to hang out there. However, we just kind of fell into him staying more and more. And now for the last 3 months he's lived here full time. We never had a chat about officially moving in or anything. It just happened. I've not got a problem with it. I love having him around. However, since he's been staying here full time, there's the obvious. My bills have doubled. Grocery shop is more. I'm doing more laundry than ever. I more or less pick up after him too. He never makes the bed, or vacuums or cleans the dishes. I work full time as a nurse, so when I finish night shift I often come home to the apartment looking like a bomb has hit it. I don't mind carrying most of the financial burden for now. I'm not ready for him to officially move in so can deal with paying the electricity, etc. I've had conversations about maybe him occasionally doing the grocery shop, and he agrees. But when it comes to it, he'll wait until there's literally no food and I've no option but to go myself. When I've said about chores, he just says it's not his house to do chores. Am I the asshole for snapping at my sister-in-law and telling her if she can't provide a legitimate reason for being against my baby names, then she can shut the fuck up? I, 30 female, I'm gonna be a first-time mom to male-female twins, and my husband Dan, 31, and I are excited about becoming parents. We are calling them Jordan Leo, last name, and Ivy Madison, last name. We think the names are nice and perfectly normal and we love them. I am almost at the end, but for the past few months, Dan's sister Layla has been trying to convince us to pick different names. We have constantly asked her why and she has never provided a reason, just saying she thinks the twins could be called something better. It has gotten down to my last nerve because she keeps jokingly suggesting we pick something else, and we keep saying no, and she won't relent. She joked about it again and I lost my cool. It was months and months of build-up of her jokes, her nagging, her pleading, and even saying I'm juice at being a crazy hormonal pregnant lady who isn't listening. So I have put up with a lot and reached my limit. I said that if she can't provide a legitimate reason for us changing the names, then she can shut the fuck up, as that's what they will he called, and I'm sick of her shit. Now I'm the bad guy from my mother-in-law for upsetting her as she was trying to help. But again, you can't tell me to choose different names and not give a reason why.
Am I the asshole for blowing up at my sister, who is a special needs teacher, for repeatedly telling me how to parent my special needs child? I had a son, when I was younger, who turned out to have cerebral palsy as well as some developmental delays and needed some extra care. Back then I needed all the help I could get, so my family treated my son like a community project, which was greatly appreciated at the time, but lately it's been seeming like there are too many cooks in the kitchen. While my son grew up, my sister got a degree in special needs education and started teaching a special needs elementary class. Over the years, my sister has been increasingly giving my wife and I more and more unsolicited advice on how to parent my son, which is fine in theory, but instead of taking us to the side and giving us her professional opinion, she tends to actively disregard the way we want to teach my son in front of him, and in a condescending way. For example, when my son was being rude, I corrected him and sent him to his room. My sister stepped in and said, "Don't send him to his room, he doesn't know what he's doing." Another example is, lately we've been trying to promote independence in him, so when my son said he was thirsty, I said, "So go get yourself some water." My sister said, "Oh, I'll get it," so I respectfully responded to her saying, "Actually, can he get it himself?" "We are trying to teach him independence," she answered with, "No, he can't do it himself." Our son even protested and said he wanted to do it himself, but she sternly turned him down, only to get him his water for him. There have been a ton of these little moments that have built up for me and my wife over time, to the point where we sat her down and had to talk boundaries with her. But it all came to a head again last Christmas when we went to visit my family. The entire trip was filled with condescending corrections from my sister. The last straw is when my son had a meltdown and he marched into his room. I said I was going to go talk to him, but she stopped me and said, "No, don't, he needs to calm down, my wife," and I exploded at the same exact moment, telling her to stop telling us what to do and how to do it. She argued with us, saying that it's her job and we have repeatedly disrespected the fact that she has a degree in this. We told her that she doesn't know what it's like to be a parent and how being a teacher is completely different. My sister ended up marching to her room mid-argument and I ended up consoling my wife, who started frustratedly crying. Unfortunately, we had to leave for the airport right away, so we went up to apologize to my sister for yelling, but my sister was silent and didn't reciprocate. That was now 6 months ago. My only contact with my sister is through my mom, since my sister won't answer texts. My mom's opinion is that nothing needs to be talked about because time will heal all wounds. My wife and I think that would fester into resentment, which is upsetting to us because we are planning to have more kids soon and don't want this issue arising with them again.
Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor she should check her husband and not me? I'm deep cleaning my house when my neighbor shows up at my doorstep. She introduces herself, which is fine since she's new to the neighborhood. But then she drops a bombshell. She says I make her feel uncomfortable. I'm taken aback since we've never spoken before, and I've lived here for 13 years with no issues. When I ask what I'm doing to make her uncomfortable, she says it's the way I dress while cleaning, and her husband has been watching me from their window. I look down at my outfit, a sports bra and shorts, and ask if that's what she's referring to. She confirms it. I'm confused and tell her maybe she should be concerned about her husband's behavior, and that I'm not bothering anyone in my own home. I suggest she should check her husband, because that's weird behavior. She gets mad and wants to cause a scene. Am I the *** hole? Does anyone else find this situation weird? I should add that I do have curtains blocking most of my windows, but I like a small gap for natural light, which I think is how her husband has been seeing me.
Am I the asshole for expecting tequila in the margaritas? Me 35 male and my wife 33 female got invited to a party at her coworker's house. I reluctantly went because the only person I would know was my wife. This is a relatively new job for her and wanted to be able to meet and mingle with her coworkers outside of work. Her understanding of it all was we didn't need to bring anything but ourselves. We show up and seems like a lively party. Pool with a bar area, music playing. They had a margarita machine and a ton of food. My wife got to talking, so I excused myself to grab a drink. The margarita machine was calling my name, so I filled my cup and grabbed my wife a margarita. I went back to my wife. I started drinking and realized that there wasn't any tequila in it. That's when I noticed no alcohol being around. The host was tending to the machine and I asked if there was any tequila. She looks at me confused and then says there is no tequila. I said, "Oh, I thought this was a party." She takes offense at that and says it is. Just a dry one. I awkwardly left it at that. I poured out my drink and grabbed some water. Host asks if there was something wrong with it. I said I wasn't interested in drinking straight sugar. I walked back to my wife, kept to myself and ate some food for the few hours we were there. It made it back to my wife that I was an asshole to the host, caused a minor argument between us.
Am I the asshole for ignoring my friend after she got rejected from every university she applied to? I, 20 female, am currently studying abroad, but before that, I stayed in my home country to complete an advanced diploma with a close friend, 20 female. We were in the same high school classes and always considered each other academic equals. I didn't move overseas earlier due to financial reasons and the uncertainty of the pandemic, so we decided to attend the same college. That's when things started to go downhill. We had one major group project at the end of each year. I was in a group with her and another student. Despite all being equally graded, I ended up doing almost everything. Coding, design, back-end, documentation, you name it. The stress got so bad, I literally broke down in class multiple times. They barely did anything, and my friend offered no support. Things only got worse the following year when she got a boyfriend. From that point on, every weekend and school break was spent at his house. She completely checked out of our studies. At one point, she even asked me to send her the final project just so she could submit it for a grade. When she couldn't run it on her computer, she skipped class and told everyone she was sick, which was clearly just an excuse, since she hadn't worked on it at all. By the second project, she finally contributed a bit, but by then, the damage was done. When grades came out, I scored higher than her. Especially in math, I had kept the subject from high school. She dropped it. Instead of being happy for me, she mocked my math score and acted like it didn't matter. Fast forward to university applications. I eventually got into the uni I wanted, after facing rejections too. She decided to take a gap year to save money and work on her applications. I warned her that the process can be humbling and advised her to stay on top of deadlines and documents. She didn't listen. During her application interview, which required submitting documents in advance, she forgot to include her final transcript. Despite having 5 months to prepare, thankfully, the administration scanned it and added it for her. When rejections started rolling in from every university she applied to, she suddenly began blaming the administration, accusing one of the staff of ruining her application. When I pointed out that one rejection mentioned she lacked the required math qualifications, I got an 85%. She had a 65%, and that maybe that was the issue. She completely dismissed it. She refused to take any accountability and continued blaming everyone but herself. I'm emotionally drained, and I don't feel like I can be her friend anymore. I'm tired of the resentment and the disrespect.
Am I the asshole for cutting off my dad financially after finding out he has a secret second family and took out debt in my name? I, 26 female, have helped my dad, 57 male, on and off for years. Since I was 20, he said he's struggling, medical bills, mortgage, groceries. I paid off his car note once and even covered 2 months of his mortgage last year, so he wouldn't lose the house. He always made me feel like I was all he had. My mom passed when I was a teen, and we were close. Or I thought we were. Last month, a cousin let something slip. My dad has a whole other family, a girlfriend he's been with for over a decade and 2 kids, ages 10 and 6. I had no clue. He's been splitting his time between both homes, telling me he's working late or out of town. When I confronted him, he admitted it, said he didn't tell me because I judge him, and he wanted to protect my feelings. I was devastated, but it got worse. While reviewing my credit to apply for a loan, I found out he had taken out 2 credit cards in my name. One was maxed out. Total balance? Over $6,000. When I brought it up, he said he was going to pay it off eventually, and that it was for the family. I told him I was done. I reported the cards, froze my credit, and told him I'm not sending another dime. Now he's begging, saying the kids don't deserve to suffer, and his girlfriend is texting me too, saying I'm cruel and ripping their family apart. Extended family split. Some shocked, some saying I should forgive him because he's your dad. But I feel completely betrayed. He lied, stole, and used me financially.
Am I the asshole for calling animal control? I own 7 cats and volunteer at a shelter. All adopters are required to keep cats indoors. I live in Howard County, Maryland, where the law says pets must be confined to the owner's property. If they wander, residents can call animal control, which may issue warnings or citations. I live in a suburb with a 35 miles per hour main road where people often speed. There are raccoons, foxes, coyotes, hawks, and bears, plus many dogs, not all friendly. There's also risk of ticks, fleas, and disease. These are just a few reasons I keep my cats inside. Years ago, I found a friendly black cat in my yard. His tag said his name was Henry. I returned him to the listed address. The owner said he was an outdoor cat. I politely mentioned the dangers, including cars and predators, and recommended keeping him inside. They didn't say much. I saw Henry in my yard a few more times. If he looked healthy, I left him alone. But one time, his breathing was labored, open mouth and strained. I tried returning him, but no one was home. A neighbor recognized him and promised to get him home. I left a note suggesting the owner seek vet care. This spring, Henry showed up on my deck with blood and pus coming from his eyes. I tried to help, but he was in pain and ran off. I hadn't heard from the owners in years, so I didn't know if he was getting vet care. I called animal control and sent the photo. They visited the home and later told me Henry has cancer, is being treated, and is shared by 3 households. They also confirmed I'm within my rights to report him if he's on my property. 4 months later, one of the owners showed up furious. She said my original note was presumptive and that I should have come to her directly before calling animal control. She brought up her mother's failing health, her federal job I'm a fed to, and quoted the Bible about what I should have done. She accused me of trying to make her life harder. I told her I was sorry she was under stress, but that I had no way of knowing Henry's situation. I acted out of concern, not spite. I thanked her for the conversation and closed the door.
Am I the asshole for not letting my mother-in-law come over after she destroyed my Millennium Falcon Lego set? I, 38 male, live with my wife, 37 female, and my 7-year-old son. I work as an engineer and my wife is a senior supervisor at a law firm. I have always loved Legos since I was a kid, and sure, it's kind of childish, but it makes me happy, so I've kept it as a consistent hobby throughout my adult life. In 2024 I spent months building the Millennium Falcon with my son. It's me and my son's pride and joy, and I often show guests who come over. My wife doesn't really get the hype, but doesn't mind either. In early March my wife's parents came over for a week to spend time with us. As I usually do with guests, I asked them if they would like to see my Lego collection. They agreed, and I showed both her father and mother my Millennium Falcon. Her father was amazed at the time it took to build my sizable collection, but her mother said that it was a waste of time and that I should focus on being a real man and move up the corporate ladder. I laughed it off because she's pretty old and I figured she just held very old-fashioned beliefs. We left the room and nobody really mentioned it for a few hours, but at dinner her mother said out of nowhere that I should give up on all this Lego nonsense and be a real man. We ignored this and moved on, but you could see in her expression that she was not happy. Nobody said anything about it for the rest of their stay, and all seemed well the morning they left. They left at 3 a.m. to catch a flight, and we waved them off. I went back to bed, but the next morning awoke to find my Millennium Falcon smashed to pieces with a note from my wife's mother calmly saying that this was for my own good so that I can be a real man and focus on what matters. It turns out she had quietly destroyed it in the night and left in the morning. Me and especially my son were very upset. I called her in the morning, but she refused to apologize. I said that until she apologized, they would not be coming back again. My wife is not happy with my decision on this matter, and honestly, I'm starting to wonder if I overreacted. Did I go overboard, or am I in the right?
Am I the asshole for telling my parents that they neglected me because of my brother's illness? So, I'm a 16-year-old girl, and I have an older brother who is 20, and he moved out about 2 months ago. My brother has misophonia. I don't know everything about the illness, and I don't want to say anything wrong, but it's basically being triggered by certain sounds. He was diagnosed at 7 when I was 4, and he has a very strong version of the illness, I think. Me and my brother used to get along okay, but it got worse after that. Funnily enough, all of his triggers were connected to me. My laughing, my walking, my eating, everything seemed to trigger him. I remember my father yelling at me when I was like 6, because I laughed while my brother was also in the car. I wasn't allowed to eat dinner with them. My parents would eat with him, and when he was finished, he could leave, and then I could get my food. I didn't even really understand what was going on, because I was a little kid. I was often alone, because I couldn't go anywhere with them and would trigger him, and when we did something together, it didn't feel the same. Because even alone, I was always scared to do something wrong and get yelled at. Even in school, I would barely talk or laugh. I was never very close with my family and spend most time alone in my room or with friends outside. Since my brother moved out, my parents are trying to get me to connect with them more. This morning, my mom asked me if I wanted to go see a movie with her, and I was already in a bad mood because I was stressed due to exams. So I sort of just snapped and told her I didn't want to and to stop trying to fix things with me because it was ruined and that she couldn't fix the neglect they put me through simply by watching a movie with me. She then yelled back at me and told me to stop being jealous of my brother, and that they were doing the best they could, and that they didn't want to neglect me and just tried to take care of my brother. I just left after that, and both my parents have been ignoring me all day, and now I feel kinda bad. I still really love them.
Am I the asshole for not allowing my siblings and siblings' little kids to dictate what goes in the house I got for me and sick parent? I'm a single income no kids whose parent is very sick. I've taken them in to live with me. No one else offered, which is fine because I'm happy to have them. And what do I care what anyone else does anyway? This has made my house where the family congregates. As it's a new place I got for my parent and I to share, I'm looking to furnish it now and getting a lot of pushback that X, Y, and Z aren't kid-friendly. It's my damn house. Watch your kids when you're here or don't bring them. Why do I need to bubble wrap everything or not display certain things, or in a case that blows my mind, not buy nice couches because you are certain your kid-ass will destroy them? I want my couches. I don't want some ragtag-ass couches simply because they are suitable fodder for children to destroy freely. My siblings say if I don't cater to them, I'm not being considerate and that they just can't visit our sick parent. I tell them they can watch their kids while here or arrange for their ass. To do so here or at their place, but that, until they pay these bills, I should be the one deciding how it's furnished. Please tell me I'm not the asshole because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend I would have preferred lunch over groceries when his card declined at the store? Today, my boyfriend, 30 male, and I, 30 female, were working from home, and we didn't have many groceries at home to cook a decent meal with. My boyfriend offered to go get me lunch as I was quite hungry, but busy with work. A very nice offer which I joyfully accepted, asking for some $11 sushi from the grocery store. After a rather long period of time, the store is about 5 minutes away, and he came back after approximately 40 minutes. He comes back with a bag of groceries such as cherries, a block of cheese, Cheerios, milk, a jar of capers, a rather hodgepodge grouping of items. He explained how his card declined, as he's been having some issues with incorrect fraud charges, so he called the bank, etc., but they couldn't immediately authorize a larger charge. He only had $40 to spend on the car, so he got the groceries instead. I listened to this tale, a bit impatient as I was quite hungry by this point, and had been expecting the meal he said he would bring. As he concluded his story, I said, likely in a notably disappointed tone, "Got it. I would have preferred lunch, to be honest. I'm going to go get the sushi." Boyfriend got pretty upset right off the bat, immediately raising his voice to say I was being ungrateful, and that he could have made lunch with the items he had bought. I left, probably with eye-rolling energy TVH, to acquire my lunch and figured he might cool off, as it wasn't that big of a deal in my mind. I was bummed that he told me he would do a nice thing for me, and didn't follow through. He was annoyed I wasn't more grateful for getting groceries. When I got back, he said I was being a B*****, that he was doing a nice thing, and I should be appreciative. My response was to laugh at that reaction, and then just leave the room as it seems. So preposterous to me to have that large of a reaction to saying, I would have preferred lunch in the middle of a busy workday. In my view, if you tell someone you're going to get them lunch when they're hungry, you prioritize delivering on that offer because you stick to your word, or at a minimum, you shoot them a text to say it didn't work out. I also think it's within reason to express disappointment, and then move on. In his mind, I'm being really rude and ungrateful for his initial offer, noting that we frequently buy each meals, so it's not an uncommon offer on either side. Am I the asshole for accepting inheritance from elderly client instead of giving it to his estranged kids? This is strange, but I inherited my former client's house. I'm 28, and I was his part-time caregiver for 3 years. His kids live across the country, and have maybe visited him twice. I was there every day to help with groceries, appointments, and just to keep him company. He had no one else. Last month, he passed away and his lawyer called to let me know that I was in his will as the sole beneficiary for his house. The kids are completely unhinged, saying I put an old lonely man under some sort of spell. But honestly, where were they when he was struggling, and had less than 5 people in his life? The house is worth probably $200K, which would completely change my life. His kids are saying they will contest the will. They go on about how blood family should mean more than some other person, but they couldn't even pick up the phone to call him on holidays.
Am I the asshole for calling out my kid's teacher for talking down to me? I was at my daughter's teacher conference. I was still wearing my work clothes. I am an electrician, and uniform is somewhat dirty. I start talking to me in a baby voice using very simple words and speaking slowly. Your daughter needs help with her math homework. Do you know what fractions are? I have accrued 60 college credits and I read all the time, but I guess since I fit the blue-collar mold I must be stupid. I kept my cool though and asked her if she always assumed the level of intelligence of parents based on what clothes we wear. She started getting defensive like she was only trying to be helpful and didn't mean anything by it. I told her that in the future I would rather she talk to me like a normal person. Now my wife thinks I made the teacher look bad for no reason, and I should have let it go because she meant well. I feel like that was pretty disrespectful though.